Chapter 1. I became the lover of the ice-cold female CEO. But it wasn't my idea. That day, she called me in her office and expressionlessly tossed a contract at me. A mistress contract. She didn't know. I'd had a secret crush on her for a long time. We were both just trying hard to pretend nothing was going on. She pretended to be aloof, using her status as a sugar mommy to get close to me. I pretended to be oblivious, using the excuse of being kept to protect her. Until one day, I discovered her secret diary. It turned out that this seemingly strong woman had been secretly recording every little detail about me. This time, it was my turn to expose her little scheme. Say that again? What is this? I held the contract, my fingers trembling slightly. You saw it right, it's a mistress contract. Qing Ran sat in her leather office chair, legs crossed, leisurely twirling a pen. I looked at the CEO of Xingyao Group, momentarily at a loss for words. It all started half an hour ago. I was in the planning department, scribbling furiously, rushing to revise the proposal for next week's launch event. Suddenly, a text message from Xiang Chen, the HR director, nearly made me spray coffee all over my computer. Xiang Chen, the CEO wants to see you immediately. Honestly, what did you do? The CEO's face is dark. I carefully reviewed all my work from the past week. I hadn't messed up any projects, hadn't been late or left early. Besides overhearing a few female colleagues in the break room last week talking about how many suitors Qing Ran had, and then casually saying, it must take a lot of courage to pursue her. There shouldn't be any problems. Wait, could it be because of that? Standing at the CEO's office door, gripping the handle, I started brainstorming. Was it really because Qing Ran heard my comment? Or was it because she wasn't satisfied with the proposal for the last launch event? Or maybe because I took an extra chicken leg in the company cafeteria last week? Knock, knock, knock. Come in. A cold female voice. The moment I pushed open the door, a faint jasmine fragrance wafted over me. Qing Ran sat in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, the setting sun outlining her perfect profile. I had to admit, this female CEO was truly breathtakingly beautiful. See? She didn't look up, continuing to look at the document in her hand. I sat down lightly opposite her, not daring to even breathe. From my angle, I could just see her slightly furrowed brows, clearly in a bad mood. After a full 5 minutes, I secretly checked my watch 6 times. She finally put down the document and looked up at me. Marketing Department Manager, Xiang Chen, 27 years old, excellent academic qualifications, outstanding workability. She recited my information. Most importantly, good-looking. What was going on? This is a contract. She pushed a document towards me. Read it and sign it. The moment I opened the document, I felt my world tilt. The densely packed clauses. The very first one made me question my existence. Party A, Qing Ran, out of personal volition, chooses Party B, Xiang Chen, as a temporary lover. CEO, is this a prank? Do I look like someone who jokes around? Indeed, she didn't. Qing Ran was known as the ice-cold CEO. I heard that even in board meetings, she never gave anyone a pleasant look. But why me? You meet the requirements. She clicked open the memo on her phone. First, your appearance matches my aesthetic. Second, you are capable enough to be my temporary boyfriend. Third, single. Chapter 2. Fourth, although occasionally talks out of turn, he's generally reliable. I opened my mouth, suddenly realizing something was amiss. Wait, how do you know I'm single? I'm the CEO. She raised an eyebrow. I know everything that goes on in this company, including the extra drumstick I got last week. I regretted the words as soon as they left my mouth. President Gu's brow furrowed even deeper, and I quickly lowered my head, pretending to study the agreement. Clause 2. Party B is required to accompany Party A to various social events, playing the role of boyfriend. Clause 3. Maintain a normal superior-subordinate relationship during working hours. Clause 4. Additional monthly compensation of XXX. Seeing the compensation amount, I gasped. Did she want to keep me until my next life? Is there a problem? President, with all due respect, you really don't need to do this. With your qualifications, Finding a boyfriend should be a piece of cake. As soon as I finished speaking, I saw a flicker of something unnatural in her expression. Wait, could it be because work needs? She interrupted my wild thoughts with a blank expression. There's a charity gala this weekend, and I need a male escort. So, you thought of keeping me? Do you have any other options? Indeed, I did. Not to mention the generous compensation in the agreement. Just being close to a goddess like Qing Ran would make every man in the company envious. What if I refuse? Have you heard about the recent layoffs in the marketing department? She picked up her coffee and took an elegant sip. Me? Just as I was about to sign, I suddenly noticed a small line of text in the corner. No dating allowed during the contract period. President, isn't this a bit? Sign or get out. 5 minutes later, I walked out of the CEO's office with the biggest question mark of my life hanging over my head. Through the reflection of the glass door, I saw Qing Ran's lips curve slightly upwards. Even after returning to my workstation, I still felt like I was dreaming. My phone buzzed with a message from Xiang Chen. Are you done? Still alive? I glanced at the agreement and sighed. Alive, but I don't know for how much longer. In the CEO's office, Qing Ran looked at the freshly signed agreement and gently touched the signature. Her assistant knocked and entered to deliver documents, just in time to see the smiling. President Gu, you have such a gentle smile. Qing Ran's face instantly turned cold. Get out. The assistant, kicked out of the office, looked bewildered. Had she just seen things? How could the legendary Ice Queen CEO smile so sweetly at a piece of paper? 2. It's been 3 days since I signed the keeping agreement, and I still haven't recovered. For the past 3 days, Qing Ran has been acting as if nothing happened, holding meetings and reprimanding people as usual. Every time I encountered her in the hallway, she wore an unapproachable expression. If it weren't for the agreement in my pocket, I would have suspected it was all a dream. Xiang Chen. Zhang Xiaoshuan's voice brought me back to reality. What are you daydreaming about? Is the proposal revised yet? I glanced at the bottom right corner of the computer screen. 10:30 p.m. Less than 12 hours until tomorrow's press conference. And my proposal still had a pile of problems that needed fixing. Almost. I rubbed my sore neck. Why haven't you left yet? If I left, who would know if you died from overwork at the company? She placed a cup of coffee on my desk. By the way, just a reminder, President Gu is still here. Chapter 3. My hand trembled, almost spilling my coffee. She's still here this late? You didn't know? Zhang Xiaoxian lowered her voice conspiratorially. President Gu often works late, but she's always alone in her office. Nobody's allowed in. I nodded, pretending to be uninterested. In reality, I'd already filed this information away in my brain. 2 more hours passed, and the office was completely silent. I stretched, deciding to find something to eat in the break room. The late-night office was exceptionally empty, the motion sensor lights in the hallway illuminating my path. Just as I was about to turn the corner, a burst of laughter came from the president's office. It was Qing Ran's voice, but this was the first time I'd heard her laugh. Not the cold laugh she used in board meetings, but an unguarded, girlish laugh. Ah, no! Another exclamation followed. My professional ethics and curiosity battled fiercely for 3 seconds. Ultimately, curiosity won by a landslide. I tiptoed towards the office, wanting to see what the perpetually frosty President Gu was doing. Through the slightly ajar door, I saw an unexpected scene. Qing Ran was sitting cross-legged on the sofa, a tablet in her lap, and crackers stuffed in her mouth. Ugh! The male lead is so dumb, she grumbled, pouting. It's so obvious what the female lead is doing, and he still doesn't get it. Me. So the legendary, decisive President Gu was secretly a drama-watching girl? And she even snacks while she's at it? Just as I was trying to process this information, Qing Ran suddenly looked up towards the door. It was too late to hide. Xiang Chen. She enunciated each syllable of my name. The temperature plummeted. I froze, my mind racing for an excuse. I was here to deliver documents? No, what documents would I deliver this late? I was here to discuss work? Even worse, that excuse was too fake. What are you doing here? She hid the tablet behind her back, trying to maintain her presidential dignity. but I noticed cracker crumbs on the corner of her mouth. I, I was getting water. The break room is next door. Oh, right. I went the wrong way. I chuckled nervously, backing up a step. President Gu, the corner of your mouth. She instinctively touched her mouth, and upon discovering the crumbs, her face flushed red. You're dead if you tell anyone. She threatened fiercely. Understood. Understood. I continued to back away. But President Gu, I'm watching that drama too, and the male lead is kind of dumb. A throw pillow landed squarely on my face. I quickly closed the door and fled, hearing her annoyed voice behind me. Ah, so embarrassing. That voice was exactly the same as when she was watching the drama, and I couldn't help but smile. So the aloof President Gu also had such a cute side. Back at my desk, I received a WeChat message. You're presenting at tomorrow's launch event. Sender, Gu Qing Ran. Me? Any objections? No. I quickly replied, then made a mental note. So President Gu can be childish too. The next day, I nervously delivered my presentation. Gu Qing Ran remained expressionless throughout, as if last night's events had never happened. Chapter 4. But when I got to the important part, I noticed she was secretly eating cookies. Catching my gaze, she quickly hid her snack and warned me with her eyes. You're dead if you tell anyone. That's when I realized that this usually ice-cold career woman was actually kinda cute. Xiang Chen, bring me the files from my office, Gu Qing Ran said at the meeting room door, without looking back. I checked my watch, 6:30 p.m. By now, I was used to her sudden requests. After all, since signing that agreement, I was her. Well, temporary assistant. Where are the files? On the desk. Pink cover. Pink? I was taken aback. In my mind, everything Gu Qing Ran owned was black, white, or gray. A pink item seemed oddly out of place. Opening the CEO's office door, a faint jasmine scent still lingered in the air. I looked around and quickly spotted the pink folder on her desk. Just as I was about to leave, an awkward turn caused the papers to scatter across the floor. As I scrambled to collect them, I suddenly noticed my name written on one of the pages. Wait, what's this? He wore that navy blue shirt again today. That color really suits his complexion. But this idiot never realizes it, always wearing ill-fitting clothes. My first thought was, why is this handwriting so cute? All crooked and messy, completely different from Gu Qing Ran's usual signature. It looked like a schoolgirl's diary. He was secretly yawning in the meeting again today, thinking I didn't notice. It's so frustrating. I told him to rest early yesterday, but he had to stay up gaming. He never takes care of himself. Wait. Did Gu Qing Ran really write this? That strong-willed woman who dominates board meetings, writing a diary in this tone? And about me? He sent me an emoji today, a lazy cat. So cute. I wanted to send one back, but how can a CEO send emojis? Sigh. I envy Xiao Xian, who can joke around with him freely. I felt my face getting hot. The contrast was too stark, like I discovered some incredible secret. Saw him smiling at the receptionist today, so gently. I'm so angry, but I can't show it. Why does he have to be so gentle with everyone? Idiot. Dense fool. Reading this, I suddenly remembered the coffee the receptionist gave me. So that's why Gu Qing Ran looked so dark that day. When he signed that agreement, his confused expression was so funny. But he didn't notice how long it took me to stop my hands from shaking. Good thing he doesn't know this was actually my umpteenth draft. Wait a minute. So that maintenance agreement was actually Xiang Chen. Gu Qing Ran's voice suddenly came from behind. I flinched, scattering papers everywhere. As I turned around, I saw Gu Qing Ran's face had gone pale, a flash of panic in her eyes. Did you? I denied instinctively. I just accidentally dropped the files. Chapter 5. She strode over, crouched down, and started gathering the papers. I noticed her ears were crimson. President Gu. Shut up. You didn't see anything. Understand? But don't speak. She looked up, flushed with anger. That's an order. However, her eyes were a little red, completely lacking her usual imposing manner. I suddenly found her like this particularly adorable. So, you actually... Before I could finish, She smacked the folder against my chest. Get out. Now. Immediately. I retreated from the office, clutching the folder, and heard a frustrated growl from inside. Ah, I'm doomed. I'm doomed. It was at this moment that I realized that the usually decisive and efficient President Gu could also be troubled by a secret crush like a young girl. And the object of her affections was actually me. Just as I was stunned, my phone vibrated. Qing Ran. Forget what happened today. I was about to reply when another message arrived. Qing Ran. Or I'll make you forget forever. I replied with a smile. As you command, President Gu. However, your handwriting in your diary is really cute. There was a long silence on the other end, and finally, a murderous emoji was sent back. On the way home that evening, the corners of my mouth kept turning up. It turned out that in the heart of this strong woman, I was already more than just a temporary tool. However, how should I tell her that I also? Forget it, I'll observe a little longer. After all, teasing President Gu when she's flustered about her feelings seems quite interesting, doesn't it? What are you doing? Xiang Chen stared at the roses in my hand, her eyes wide. Confessing. I adjusted my tie, feeling incredibly handsome. Are you crazy? She grabbed my arm. President Gu hates this kind of cheesy confession. Are you going to get yourself fired? I chuckled. Don't worry. I have the perfect plan. Ever since I accidentally saw Qing Ran's diary last week, I'd made up my mind to confess. After all, I knew she liked me, and I couldn't let a girl wait forever, right? The plan was simple. I'd arranged to find out that Qing Ran would be in a video conference today. After the meeting, when she was in a good mood, I'd appear with roses and make a romantic confession. Are you sure she'll be in a good mood today? Of course, I've made inquiries. This video conference is about an important collaboration. Xiang Xian wanted to say something, but stopped, finally sighing. All right, I'll wait for your good news. If President Gu fires you, remember to send me a message. I walked confidently towards the president's office. I encountered many colleagues along the way, and when they saw the roses in my hand, they all looked at me as if I were a brave warrior. Arriving at the office door, I took a deep breath, ready to knock. Suddenly, I heard Qing Ran's furious voice from inside. What did you say? The collaboration is canceled? Are you kidding me? I shivered. It seemed the timing wasn't right. As I hesitated about whether to retreat, the office door suddenly opened. Qing Ran stood at the doorway, her face so dark it looked like it could rain. President Gu. I awkwardly hid the roses behind my back. This, that. Something the matter? Chapter 6. It's nothing. I was just passing by. At that moment, a flower petal drifted from somewhere and landed on Qing Ran's nose. She sneezed. Who put flowers in the office? She frowned. I steeled myself and decided to go for it. It was me. Co Gu. Actually, I dash. Xiang Chen. She suddenly interrupted me. Do you know I'm allergic to pollen? Me. Huh. And do you know how much I hate these sappy things in the office? Me. Well, take these flowers away now. Just then, an even bigger accident occurred. The office sprinklers suddenly activated, drenching us both. It turned out the building's sprinkler system had malfunctioned. Qing Ran and I were both soaked like drowned rats. Her makeup was running, but she still glared at me defiantly. Co Gu, please don't be angry. I hurried to explain. I wanted to tell you dash. The broadcast system came on. All employees, please evacuate immediately. This is a fire system maintenance check. Repeat, this is a fire system maintenance check. Qing Ran gritted her teeth. Xiang Chen, you better pray I don't kill you right now. 10 minutes later, we stood downstairs with other employees. Qing Ran was completely drenched, water still dripping from her hair, but maintaining her aura as she coldly glared at me. The CEO's office got the worst of it. The security guard reported, seems there was a ceiling pipe malfunction that triggered the sprinkler system. Everyone's eyes turned to the now ruined roses in my hands. Qing Ran took a deep breath. Xiang Chen, you're suspended for 1 week. But CEO Gu dash. 2 weeks. I wanted to say dash. 1 month. I decided to keep quiet. Colleagues around me gave sympathetic looks. Someone even gave me a thumbs up. Brother, you're brave. After the crowd dispersed, I secretly messaged Zhang Xiaoxian. Plan failed, and I think I made things worse. Zhang Xiaoxian replied, I was just about to tell you, Xiao Gu's been trying to quit coffee lately. She's especially irritable. Me? Why didn't you tell me earlier? You didn't ask. Just then, I received another message. It was from Qing Ran. During your 1-month suspension, you still have to come to the office every day. Confused, I asked, what for? To buy me coffee. I'm not in a good mood lately. I stared at this message for a long while, then smiled. This Tsundere career woman still couldn't let me go after all. On my way home that night, I sent Qing Ran a message. CEO Gu, I wanted to tell you today that I like you. Although I messed up, I won't give up. After a long wait, she replied, Idiot. Then another message. Remember, 8 a.m. tomorrow. I want an Americano, no sugar. I smiled and replied, Yes, CEO Gu. Looking up at the sky, the moon was especially round tonight. Although my confession failed, it wasn't too bad, was it? At least I knew she wasn't really angry with me. But next time I confess, I'll skip the flowers. 5. On the day of the company annual party, I arrived at the venue with dark circles under my eyes. As an exiled employee, I normally wouldn't need to attend such events. But Qing Ran had specifically messaged me. Tonight at 7, attendance mandatory. Chapter 7. Although I've been suspended for a week, the daily task of buying coffee for Xiao Gu has never stopped. She seems to have completely abandoned her plan to quit coffee, drinking even more than before. I suspect she's getting revenge for my dramatic confession that day. Xiang Chen. Zhang Xiaoxian grabbed me. You actually look presentable today? Well, I have to face CEO Gu. I adjusted my tie. I bought this suit specifically for this, afraid she'd find fault again. Speaking of CEO Gu, Zhang Xiaoxian lowered her voice mysteriously. Do you know why they specifically wanted you here today? I looked bewildered. You don't know? Her eyes widened. Your department is performing on stage today. What? I nearly jumped, but I'm suspended. But CEO Gu said you must participate. And, she added with a mischievous smile, you're the lead dancer. At that moment, I felt my whole world crumbling. Dance on stage. I'd rather get soaked by the sprinkler system again. Worse still, our department was preparing some viral dance from an anime. As someone who's never danced before, I felt my social life was about to end. Just as I was looking for a place to hide, Qing Ran appeared. She wore a red dress, commanding presence in full force. Seeing me, her lips curved slightly. Ready? CEO Gu, can I withdraw? No, she said coolly. This is punishment. Well, she's definitely getting revenge. An hour later, I stood backstage, looking at myself in the mirror, dressed as an anime cosplayer, complete with cat ears. If my mom saw me like this, she'd probably disown me. 5 minutes until showtime. The coordinator called out. I took a deep breath, ready to go all in. I've already lost face so many times over the years. What's one more time? The music started, and I mechanically walked onto the stage. However, at that moment, all the venue lights suddenly went out. In the chaos, I heard Qing Ran's voice. Technical difficulties, performance canceled. When the lights came back on, the next program had already started. I sighed in relief and rushed to change clothes. Xiang Chen. Qing Ran suddenly appeared at the break room door. CEO Gu. I fumbled to remove the cat ears. Technical difficulties, she said. Looks like you got lucky. I paused, suddenly understanding. Could it be you? What are you talking about? She frowned. I'm just here to tell you there's a department photo later, don't wear this. She left immediately, but I noticed her smiling. Was she actually helping me out? During the lucky draw segment, I unexpectedly won third prize, the latest gaming chair. But Qing Ran suddenly stood up. There's an issue with this prize. We need to redraw. Why? I asked, confused. Because... She paused. Winners must perform to claim their prize. That's not a rule. Someone shouted from the audience. It is now. She said coldly. In the end, my prize was changed to a coffee machine. Wait, isn't this the same model from Qing Ran's office? Remember to bring the coffee machine to the office tomorrow, she said as the event ended. Saves you from buying coffee outside every day. But it's my prize. Chapter 8. Don't you think this punishment is too light compared to dancing? I immediately shut up. Indeed, compared to dancing an anime dance in front of the whole company, giving up a coffee machine was like a gift from heaven. By the way, she suddenly said, the cat ears suit you. Oh? I mean, they match your stupidity perfectly. She quickly left after saying that, but I noticed her ears had turned red. On my way home, I received a message from Xiang Chen. The equipment malfunction was arranged by CEO Gu. She had the tech department modify the equipment beforehand. But don't tell anyone I told you. I smiled. This tsundere woman was actually helping me, but pretending to punish me. The next day, I moved the coffee machine into the office. Qing Ran was reading documents and said without looking up, "Put it over there. You're in charge of coffee from now on. So, I'm your personal barista now? What else? Did you think that coffee machine was free?" I brewed an Americano and placed it on her desk, watching as she eagerly took a sip. "How is it?" "Barely passing," she said. "Continue tomorrow." "Yes, CEO Gu." I turned to leave. "Wait," she suddenly said. "That, the cat ears." Her voice grew quieter. "It wouldn't hurt to wear them occasionally." I held back my laughter and agreed, then quickly retreated before she could get angry. This awkward woman is really cute after all. 6. Who is she? Qing Ran stared at the new photo frame on my desk, her voice cold as ice. "Ah, this," I hurried to explain. "It's from a high school reunion." "I'm asking." She pointed at the girl standing next to me in the photo. "Who is she?" "Su Jiai, from my university." I stopped mid-sentence, suddenly realizing something, but it was too late. Qing Ran's face instantly darkened. "So, an ex-girlfriend?" I tried to change the subject. "CEO Gu, would you like some coffee? Why is this photo here?" She ignored my offer. "Just placed it randomly. Personal items are not allowed. Remove it." "Has. That's my office." She cut me off. "I make the rules." She turned and left, her heels tapping a cold rhythm on the floor. Zhang Xiaoxian appeared from nowhere. "Oh no," So Gu was jealous. "I can tell. Besides, it's just a photo." "The photo isn't the point." She rolled her eyes. "The point is the person in the photo is coming to our company today." "What?" "Su Jiai, fashion magazine editor-in-chief." Zhang Xiaoxian waved her phone. "She's coming this afternoon for a collaboration meeting." And what?" "And CEO Gu already knows." I suddenly felt unwell. In the afternoon meeting room, the atmosphere was suffocatingly awkward. Qing Ran sat at the head, looking cold. Su Jiai sat opposite, elegantly flipping through the proposal. And I was caught in the crossfire between these two women, feeling like I was being roasted alive. This proposal won't work. Chapter 9. I saw Su Jiai's lips twitch. "CEO Gu, business partnerships need data to support them, not intuition." "My intuition is the best data." Qing Ran lifted her coffee cup. "Redo this proposal." "All right," Su Jiai smiled. "Why not let Xiang Chen handle it? He's very knowledgeable about the fashion industry. He used to help me." "He's been suspended," Qing Ran interrupted. "Suspended?" Su Jiai looked at me in surprise. "Why?" "Because." "Work error." Qing Ran didn't let me finish. "So for this project, you'd better find someone else." "Is that so?" Su Jiai seemed thoughtful. "Well, I'm recruiting recently. Would Xiang Chen consider?" "He won't consider it." Qing Ran put down her coffee cup. "Right, Xiang Chen?" "Ah, oh, yes, yes, yes." I nodded repeatedly. After the meeting, I escorted Su Jiai to the elevator. "Your boss?" she asked with a smile. "Does she have feelings for you?" "Not at all." I denied instinctively. "Really?" She gave me a meaningful look. "Then, why does she keep watching us?" I turned around and caught Qing Ran standing at the end of the hallway, quickly turning away. "Want to have dinner together?" Su Jiai suddenly asked. "Catch up." Just as I was about to refuse, Qing Ran Songchen, "Come to my office." "Sorry, I." "Go ahead." Su Jiai smiled meaningfully. Seems someone can't wait. In Qing Ran's office, the atmosphere was intimidating. The partnership is canceled, she said directly. Why? No reason. CEO Gu. I couldn't help saying, are you jealous? What did you say? She narrowed her eyes. Oh no, I said the wrong thing. I mean, get out, CEO Gu. Now. I retreated from the office sheepishly, but heard the sound of a coffee cup being thrown inside. Then her angry complaint. Annoying woman. What's so good about her? I couldn't help but smile. Who knew a jealous CEO could be so cute? That evening, I received a message from Su Jiayi. Your boss just called, said she'll reconsider the partnership. The condition is, I can't contact you anymore. Me? Don't worry, I agreed, she continued. But I'm curious. Why weren't you this popular when we broke up? Just as I was about to reply, Qing Ran's message came in. Change the coffee brand tomorrow. What? Today's wasn't bitter enough. I replied with a smile. Yes, boss. Do you want it more bitter than your mood today? After a long wait, she replied with an angry emoji. Then a second message. If you dare mention today again, you'll be permanently suspended. Tis tsundere woman? She's clearly jealous but pretends nothing happened. But it's exactly this awkward personality that makes people like her more and more. The next day, I specially bought her favorite Americano and drew a smiley face on the cup. She saw it and said childish with a straight face, but still carefully kept the cup. Chapter 10. The photo frame that caused all the trouble had been confiscated by her, supposedly for safekeeping. However, I noticed a new photo in her office drawer, a candid shot of us together from the annual party, showing her rare smile. At the celebration dinner after successful negotiations, I couldn't help but smile watching Qing Ran sitting sullenly in the corner. Ever since the last dramatic incident, she had been in a mood. Though she eventually agreed to cooperate with Su Jiayi, she would find fault in every meeting, tearing apart their proposals. CEO Gu, would you like some juice? I offered her orange juice. I want alcohol, she said coldly. But you always say dash. When I say I want to drink, I'll drink. She was clearly angry. I had no choice but to pour her some red wine, warning, you don't handle alcohol well, please drink less. Who says I can't handle alcohol? She downed it in one go. More. Oh no. She's trying to drown her sorrows. An hour later, Qing Ran was slumped over the table, her face red as an apple. As I was considering calling a driver, I heard her mumble, Xiang Chen, you jerk. Oh? Why did you have dinner with your ex? I didn't. Yeah? She lifted her head, eyes misty. I saw you both laughing outside the company. So that's what this was about? When I saw Su Jiayi out that day. CEO Gu, that was just work-related. Don't call me CEO Gu. She suddenly sat up straight. Call me. Call me. Call you what? Call me Qing Ran. Her voice suddenly turned soft. You've never properly called me by my name? I was stunned. Was this really the same strong-willed CEO? And she continued, sounding hurt. You never compliment me on being pretty. You look beautiful today, I said, holding back a smile. You're just saying that, she pouted. You weren't even looking at me. How would you know if I'm pretty? I've been looking at you. Liar. You were on your phone the whole time. She reached for my phone. Let me see who you're texting. I quickly hid my phone. Actually, I was coordinating with Zhang Xiaoxian to arrange transportation to get Qing Ran home. No. She suddenly stood up, almost falling over. I rushed to steady her, but she clung to me like a koala, refusing to let go. Xiang Chen. She buried her face in my shoulder, her voice muffled. Do you still like her? Who? That annoying woman. No, I dash. Then why did you keep her photo on your desk? She looked up, eyes red. I hid that photo, but you still went to see her. So that's why she confiscated the photo. CEO Gu. Qing Ran, I tried to explain. That photo was just... I don't care. She interrupted. You're not allowed to see her. That's an order. All right. I couldn't help but smile. Whatever you say. That's better. She nodded satisfactorily, then suddenly said, I'm sleepy. And with that, she fell asleep on my shoulder. Chapter 11. I sighed and carefully helped her into the car. On the way, She kept mumbling in her sleep, complaining about things like annoying woman and jerk. After settling her in at home, I was about to leave when she suddenly grabbed my hand. Don't go. You should rest. Then promise me something. What is it? From now on, her voice grew softer. You can only look at me. She fell asleep again, a faint smile on her face. I couldn't help but reach out and touch her hair. It's you who keeps looking at me. The next morning, I brought her coffee as usual. She seemed normal, except for a slightly pale complexion. Last night, she hesitated. Did I say anything? Nothing much, I said, holding back a laugh. Just that I was a jerk and also. Stop, she quickly interrupted me. I don't want to know. Really don't want to know? I said with a mischievous grin. You also told me to call you. Gee, Xiang Chen, she gritted her teeth. You're fired. As you wish, President Qing Ran. Get out. I watched the flying pillow, smiling as I closed the door. This woman, saying one thing and meaning another. She clearly remembered everything, but pretended she didn't know a thing. Reaching the doorway, I heard her muttering to herself. So embarrassing. I'll never drink again. But I could hear the laughter in her voice. A week after the drunken incident, Qing Ran became unusually gentle. Although she still had a cold demeanor, she found various excuses to call me to her office every day. Sometimes it was to discuss work, sometimes to make her coffee, and once it was simply because the angle of this folder is wrong. This afternoon, I was making her coffee when I received a call. Hello, Xiang Chen. It was Su Jiayi's voice. I subconsciously glanced towards the office. What's up? Don't be nervous, she chuckled. I just wanted to tell you some good news. What good news? Remember our startup project from university? Someone is willing to invest. It was a fashion e-commerce platform that Su Jiayi and I had planned in university, but it was ultimately shelved due to funding issues. It was also one of the reasons for our breakup. The investors are very optimistic about the project, she continued, and they want you to be the CEO. Me? Yes. Haven't you always wanted to do your own project? This is a good opportunity. I fell silent. It was true. This had always been my dream. But now, think about it, she said. I'll treat you to lunch tomorrow, and we can talk about it in detail. It's settled then. I'll send you the location later. She hung up. I sighed, and turning around, I found Qing Ran standing at the doorway, her face livid. Guzo? A date? She asked coldly. No, it's a work meeting. A work meeting with your ex-girlfriend? She sneered. Does it need to be so secretive? Enough, she interrupted me. You're fired. What? Chapter 12. You can pack your things and leave now. She turned to leave. Qing Ran. I grabbed her hand. Listen to my explanation. Let go. She shook me off. Don't make me call security. It was just a discussion about a startup project. Oh, she sneered. So you're planning to jump ship? Good. Saves me the trouble of firing you. She turned and left, her high heels clicking resolutely on the floor. I stood there, then suddenly remembered something and hurried after her. Were you eavesdropping on my phone call just now? Her steps paused for a moment, but she quickly picked up the pace again. So you were eavesdropping. I couldn't help but laugh. You're afraid of me. Before I could finish, she stopped abruptly. Gee, Xiang Chen, you're so conceited. I just happened to be passing by. Really? Then why are you angry? I'm not angry. She bit her lip. I just think you're annoying. Is that really all? What else? Did you think I would care who you're dating? So you admit you're angry because I'm dating someone? You. Her face flushed red. Get lost. Watching her furious retreat, I suddenly found her a little cute. Just as I was about to follow her, my phone rang again. It was Zhang Xiaoxian. Gee, Xiang Chen. She started scolding me the moment I answered. Did you make President Gu angry again? Did she complain to you? She just smashed 3 cups in her office. What on earth did you do? I explained what had happened. Are you an idiot? President Gu is clearly jealous. I know. You know, and you still. Wait, she suddenly realized. You did it on purpose? She was eavesdropping on my call, and I caught her. Of course I had to tease her. Are you tired of living? Go and coax her. No rush, I said with a smile. Let her be angry for a while longer. As soon as I finished speaking, a WeChat message came in. Qing Ran, come to my office immediately. Get your termination letter. I replied, yes, my dear president, followed by a string of angry emojis. When I walked into the office, Qing Ran was pretending to read documents. I noticed her eyes were a little red. Sign this. She pushed a document towards me. I picked it up and looked at it. Reason for dismissal. Employee privately dating others, violating the contract. Any objections? No. I suppressed a smile. But President Gu, our arrangement doesn't seem to include this clause. Her face instantly flushed red. You. And I continued. Are you sure you want to fire me? Then who will make your coffee? Get out. I turned to leave, but she called me back. Wait. Tomorrow. She bit her lip. You're not allowed to go tomorrow. Why? Because I said so. I suddenly found this contradictory woman incredibly cute. Walking up to her, I whispered, okay, I won't go. But President Gu, are you worried about me? Who's worried about you? She threw the document at me. Get out. Chapter 13. Leaving the office, I sent Su Jiayi a message. Sorry, can't make it tomorrow. I already have someone I want to protect. Then another one. However, I'm really interested in that project. Could we schedule a video conference sometime? Su Jiayi quickly replied. You're so, doesn't mind? I glanced at the office, smiling. She'll agree, as long as I make a few more cups of coffee. Before leaving that night, I deliberately made a cup of coffee and left it on Qing Ran's desk, even drawing a smiley face on the cup. The next morning, I found a document on my desk. Dismissal revocation notice. It read, in view of the employee's good attitude towards admitting their mistake, they will be retained. I couldn't help but smile. This stubborn woman. 9. This was the longest hour of my life. Qing Ran and I were trapped in the elevator, and the air conditioning was broken. Early autumn wasn't particularly hot, but the confined space still made it unbearably stuffy. Worse, Qing Ran was wearing a champagne-colored dress today, the first time I'd seen her in a dress. Why isn't anyone here yet? She leaned against the corner of the elevator, trying to keep her distance from me. The engineer said it would take an hour, 40 more minutes. She bit her lip and didn't speak. Her slightly flushed cheeks showed she was also uncomfortable. Why don't you take off your jacket? Mind your own business. Since the startup project incident, while she hadn't mentioned firing me again, she rarely spoke to me. Every encounter was strictly business. Ms. Gu, don't talk. But, shut up. Besides, this stubborn woman, it was clearly her being jealous, but now she was angry at me. After another 10 minutes, seeing her obvious discomfort, I took off my suit jacket and spread it on the floor. Sit down. Standing is more tiring. She hesitated for a moment, but finally sat down. She must have been really tired. Want some water? I offered her a bottle of mineral water. She shook her head, but her eyes stayed fixed on the bottle. Stubborn. We have a meeting later, I continued. It wouldn't be good if you fainted. She finally accepted the water bottle and took small sips. Suddenly, the elevator made a loud bang, and the lights went out. In the darkness, I heard Qing Ran gasp. Instinctively, I reached out and pulled her into my arms. Don't be afraid. It's just a power outage. Her body stiffened, but she didn't push me away. After a few seconds, the emergency lights came on, the dim light making the enclosed space feel strangely intimate. I realized I was still holding her and quickly let go. Sir, Xiang Chen, she suddenly spoke, her voice very soft. Are you really not leaving? I was stunned for a moment before realizing she was talking about the startup. Not leaving. Why? That's your dream. Because there's something more important here. She looked up at me, her eyes gleaming in the dim light. What? What do you think? Doesn't someone who eavesdrops on my phone calls no? I wasn't eavesdropping. I just happened to be passing by. Chapter 14. Really? Then why were you hiding behind the door? I was checking the emergency exit. Then why did you angrily throw a glass? Who threw a glass? How did you know? Wait, did Zhang Xiaoxian tell you? I nodded. She said you threw 3. That annoying Zhang Xiaoxian. So, you guys were laughing at me behind my back. We weren't laughing at you. I said seriously. I just think President Gu is very cute when she's jealous. Who's jealous? She tried to stand up, but her leg was numb and she almost stumbled. I caught her, this time not letting go. President Gu, do you remember what you said last time you were drunk? WH. What did I say? You said you wanted me to only look at you. Her body trembled noticeably. So, I said softly, how could I leave? I was drunk. She mumbled. What about your diary? Were you drunk when you wrote that too? You. She tried to break free, but I held her tighter. The first time I saw you smile was when you were watching a drama. The first time I saw you jealous was because of the receptionist. The first time. Enough. She buried her face in my chest. You're so annoying. But I really like it. I like your clumsy concern, your awkward jealousy, the way you try to pretend you don't care. Her shoulders trembled slightly. Qing Ran. I cupped her face. I like you. Not because of the sponsorship agreement. Not because you're the president. I simply like you. Tears welled up in her eyes. Do you know how long I've waited for you to say that? I know. I wiped away her tears. You wrote it in your diary. Dummy, you're still laughing. Because it's cute. I pulled her into my arms. Turns out the aloof president is so clingy in private. Mind your own business. Just then, the elevator lights suddenly returned to normal and it started moving. We quickly separated and straightened our clothes, but her face was still as red as a ripe apple. President Gu, I suddenly said, shouldn't we change the terms of our sponsorship agreement? What terms? Like? I leaned close to her ear. A boyfriend and girlfriend agreement? Who wants to be with you? Her ears instantly turned red. The elevator dinged open, revealing the engineer and Xiang Chen standing outside. Are you guys okay? We're fine, I said with a smile. But I might have to resign. Why? Because he's transferring to the president's office, Qing Ran suddenly said, as my dedicated coffee maker. After saying that, she walked away quickly, but I saw the corners of her mouth turn up in a smile. Xiang Xian looked completely bewildered. What's going on? Job transfer, but double the salary. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. I touched the key in my pocket. Qing Ran had secretly slipped it to me. It had a small coffee cup charm attached. Chapter 15. This awkward woman, actions speak louder than words, as expected. What's this? I looked at the folder on the table, a little confused. Open it and see. Qing Ran sat behind her desk, her expression unreadable. I opened the folder. It was a photo. In the photo, Qing Ran, dressed casually, was secretly watching something outside a coffee shop. And in the corner of the photo, there was another familiar figure. Me buying coffee. I froze. 3 months ago. She looked away, her ears slightly red. The day you first came to work? So that day wasn't a coincidence? I couldn't help but smile. Shut up. She glared at me. Keep looking. The second photo was taken in the company's break room. I was chatting with colleagues, smiling brightly, looking happy. So that day, when you said, whoever pursues her must have a lot of courage, she gritted her teeth. I waited for a whole month and nothing happened. I suddenly remembered something. Wait, that sponsorship agreement. You finally remembered? She pushed the last photo towards me. It was a crumpled piece of paper that read, 100 ways to pretend to run into someone. Wasn't this the same cute handwriting from Qing Ran's diary? President Gu. I suppressed a laugh. So you'd already. Don't laugh. She buried her face in her hands. It was all Zhang Xiaoshuan's idea. What idea? She said. She said since I couldn't pursue you, I might as well just buy you. I finally burst out laughing. So that sponsorship agreement was actually a confession in disguise? You're still laughing, she said angrily. Do you know how many drafts I wrote? How many times I revised the terms? And you blockhead, didn't even notice. I have something to show you too. I took my phone out of my pocket and opened the calendar. This is from the date you first came to the coffee shop. I said, I've recorded a small thing about you every day. She leaned in to look. Day 1. Met a very special girl today. She ordered a hot Americano, but seemed to be afraid of the bitter taste. Day 2. She came again. This time she asked for double sugar. If she doesn't like coffee, why does she keep drinking it? Day 3. Turns out she's the CEO of Xingyao Group. No wonder she always dresses so formally. But the way she purses her lips when she smiles is really cute. You. Her face instantly turned red. You were spying on me? Same to you. I grinned. Didn't President Gu also take secret photos of me? That's different. How is it different? I'm the boss. Now you're my girlfriend. Who's your girlfriend? She argued. We just have a sponsorship arrangement. Then should I tear up the agreement? No. She subconsciously grabbed my hand, then quickly let go. The penalty fee is very high. I couldn't help but pull her into my arms. President Gu, we've been secretly in love with each other for so long. Can we stop pretending? Humph. Who's secretly in love with you? She buried her face in my chest, her voice muffled. I just find you pleasing to the eye. Chapter 16. Really? Then let's see your diary. No, she said frantically. I've destroyed it. Really? I smiled, pulling a notebook from the drawer. Then what's this? You. She tried to snatch it, but I held it high. Let me see what you wrote today. Xiang Chen. She jumped up anxiously. Don't you dare. Oh. I pretended to flip through it. He wore that blue shirt again today. So annoying. Why is he always so handsome? Stop it. She reached for the notebook, practically hanging on me. All right. I pulled her into a hug. I'm just kidding. I would never peek at your diary. Really? I kissed her forehead. But you could just tell me directly from now on? Her face flushed even redder. Who would tell you? Then how about we try a different approach? I pulled a small box from my pocket. This is a new agreement. I knelt down on one knee, opening the box. This one is permanent. She looked at the ring inside, tears welling up. You jerk. Marry me? I promise to make you coffee every day. Who wants your coffee? She threw herself into my arms. I want you. I want you to only look at me, forever, as you wish, my CEO. In the coffee shop downstairs, Zhang Xiaoxian looked triumphantly at a photo. Taken one afternoon 3 months ago, it showed Qing Ran secretly watching from outside the shop, and me smiling brightly while buying coffee. These two, she muttered to herself, have been secretly crushing on each other from the very beginning. The coffee shop window reflected the opposite office building. The curtains in the top floor office fluttered slightly, revealing two figures embracing. It turns out, the best love is two fools secretly in love with each other. Even if clumsy, even if awkward, as long as they are sincere with each other, there will always be a happy ending. And at this moment, in the CEO's office, Qing Ran was writing a new diary entry. Today, I finally don't have to secretly like him anymore.